That would help. Sports? Chris? Really? Us? Welcome everybody.
Week.
Welcome everybody to the latest episode of Candy Corn Cinema, and we have a pick from the man to my right here, Mr. Chris Engel. You picked these two movies, and I'm super glad you did before we get into them, but you tell me why you picked these two movies.
Two reasons. Well, three reasons really. Number one, both of these in their own ways are nostalgic for me. I watched these when I was younger at different points in time, and I really liked them. They kind of stuck with me. They were funny, which is the second reason. Actually, second reason and third reason are kind of together. Being in quarantine and stuck at home, I miss live sports, and they're kind of going on now, but it's not the same. I miss live sports, and I wanted to laugh, and so I thought about it, and these two films fit so well together. They both have similar themes. They're both funny, and they're both sports that I adore greatly.
Yeah, and I think that I had not seen The Replacements coming into this, and I had seen Major League, but Major League was one of those ones, I think I've said it before, where it's like I had the flashes. It's like I've seen this, but not in any amount of years that I could actually remember it properly. So it was basically like watching it anew. And I'm just gonna tell you right now, it was a treat for both of these movies. Right now, going into it, I love both of them, but we usually like to start out with the old movie. So Major League, Chris, Mr. Hardcore military man. That's how I know him, Tom Berenger. So it's kind of weird seeing him in this kind of role here. It's like Sniper and Platoon is how I know him from, and seeing him in Major League, it was a pretty awesome introduction to him.
Yeah, Tom Berenger as Jake Taylor is really good. Major League is really a good film in that it's an ensemble film. I think overall, for the most part, there's not one player on the team that really overshadows the others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, many films today focus on one person and then, your ensemble around him, which we actually will see more of in The Replacements.
Yeah.
We'll see you focus on one person and the team around it. Here, Tom Berenger is as close to that as you get, but overall it doesn't overshadow the other players on the team.
Yeah, the only
which
reason
is to this film's credit.
The only reason it really feels that way is because they give him what I feel is kind of an unnecessary love story. It just seems like that it's what it was needed at the time, right? Like, oh, you have this comedy movie, you need to have, and it feels that way a little bit in The Replacements. It's a little bit better in The Replacements. We'll get to that. But like, I just feel like, especially here, it's kind of with Renee Russo in her first role, like it's kind of a little wasted, unfortunately. Like, it's just like he's a stalker. Like, that's the comedy for it. Like, we're in the 80s, so this is we're going to the Cleveland Indians baseball team, which, oh boy, does that not, it didn't hold up back then, it doesn't hold up today. And there's a lot of stuff in here. It's like, the name itself, you could maybe give a pass. It's the mascot, man. The way they focus on that mascot is just like, yeah, I don't know how people thought this was ever okay, especially
we're in a
nowadays.
different time. We're in a different time, but yeah. So this movie was made partly because David S. Ward, who's the director and writer, David S. Ward is a huge Indians fan. And he wanted to make a movie, seriously, a sports movie, where his Indians could win, because like the movie depicts, the Indians sucked. And we didn't see the Indians go into a World Series until a few years ago. I believe it was against Chicago. I think it was the year Chicago won, I think.
That was a good year.
Yeah, I believe that's the one. But the point is, they hadn't seen a World Series. So he wanted to make a movie where his Indians could win it all. And so I like that idea. So that's fun. That's fine. And it you take away some of the politically incorrectness that comes out of the 80s sports, and you find it's a charming film. So the plot of this is actually a pretty simple plot. The new owner of the Cleveland Indians is the widow of the previous owner, played by Margaret Whitten. And she plays this hoity-toity, super rich bitch.
She was a showgirl, right? They mentioned like right at the beginning.
She was a Vegas showgirl.
Ex-showgirl. Her plan is basically to tank the team by getting as little people in there as possible. And there's in one of a great joke at the very beginning, she's handing the lists out of players that she wants, and they're going through the list. It's like, this guy's dead. Well, cross him off. It's like she knows what she wants out of this team. Yeah. Like she wants
to move
to
Miami. That's her plan, is to move to Miami. And if they can have attendance less than 80 or
800,000
800,000 in a season, then the contract with the city will be broken legally, and she can move. So she gives them no chance.
She ups the coach to the GM. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The GM is in on it. He hires this coach who hasn't done anything for years. He's working. Was he working at a tire shop or an auto shop? It's a tire shop.
Yeah.
Because they call him up and he's working on tires, and he's like, they ask him, "We want you to be the manager of the Indians. Can I get back to you? I got a guy on the other line who wants some white walls. I'll call you back."
Yeah.
But he's so cool about it. I really love him. So, but the plot it's a simple plot, really. It is. There's not much else to it. I really want to treat this like a baseball game. So we have to talk about our players, because that's where the heart of the team is. That's where the heart of this movie is. So up first, we mentioned him at catcher, Tom Berenger as Jake Taylor. He's the only real one that has any, I'm not going to say talent, but any like combination of talent and experience. He's played before. His knees went out, and he's had rehabilitation, and then he's playing in the Mexican leagues, and he's called up. So he's doing the best that he can, and he's kind of the heart and the spiritual leader of the team.
Yeah, he's the captain. I think the coach looks to him to like kind of try and lead the team and get them into shape.
Yep. And then we meet Roger Dorn. Roger Dorn is the dick of the team. He's only focused. He's an experienced player, but he's kind of a mediocre guy, but he's had some success. And so he's kind of that, I'm really good. It's all about the face and the money, and I just want to get through this season so I can get my endorsement deals. And he's the player, but he's also a womanizer, huge womanizer. He's married.
He wants to get out of baseball so he can act and do these endorsement deals. And then in a great shot later, when they're doing an endorsement deal, he's like the worst, the worst in front of the camera. And it's just like, oh man, stay playing baseball.
They're all bad in front of the camera for that. I know what you're talking about.
Except for the star of this movie. If I'm gonna pull him up right now. Wesley Snipes as Willie Mays Hayes. Like, oh my God. I wish Wesley would do more comedy.
This is an early role for Wesley Snipes. He wasn't well known back then. Roger Dorn, by the way, he's at third. He plays third. Willie Mays, he's outfield. His thing, so his name is Willie Mays Hayes. If you know anything about baseball, Willie Mays is one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and Hayes was extremely fast. So I mean, it's kind of this play name. So Wesley Snipes, in one of the best gags that doesn't get enough laughs, he drives up and you see the front end of a Bentley. It looks like a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, and then as the car pulls in, the rest of it is a VW Bug. It's security. I love that. It's just, it encapsulates what all of these players are about. He's a walk-on.
He doesn't belong there. Nobody knows who he is. He just decides he's going to show up at spring training. They try to kick him out, and then when they accidentally wake him up, firing off starter guns for drills, and he just beats everybody in his pajamas. And he's like, "Okay, we'll put him on the team. Why not?"
Put that man in. Yeah, he's coach. Manager says, "Put that man in." And so his thing. Each of these guys has something. Jake Taylor's is his knees. Roger Dorn's a dick. That's what. By the way, Roger Dorn. That's it. You want to know anything else about him? He's just a dick. But yeah, Willie Mays. His thing is that he is super fast. But he cannot hit a grounder to save his life.
No, he
will
can't
pop
out.
Things up.
He can't hit out. Like, he needs to hit the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is he pops up. He
Yeah.
pops up all the time. And so yeah, he actually, it's funny. During the spring training montage, coach told him, every time you pop one up, I want you to give me 20 push-ups. It's middle of spring training, he pops one up. He's like, hold on.
The
And he
first
gets down
game,
and
yeah,
gets
he
20
starts.
Yeah. But his thing is he is very fast.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else do we have on our
Dennis
team?
Haysbert. We gotta call it Dennis Haysbert because he's like nearly unrecognizable to me. Like I love the Unit. I loved watching the Unit with like my dad. Like that show was awesome. He's in so much cool shit, and it's like he's almost unrecognizable in this movie, but he's so good.
Serrano,
He's so good.
he plays Pedro Serrano, who is a Cuban refugee. He escaped Cuba to play baseball. That's all he does. And he is a strong hitter against the fastball, but cannot hit a slider or a curve. Cannot do it. So that's his thing. He's a powerful hitter, but he also practices voodoo, which counters one of our other. Which one is it? It's
It is out of Chelsea. Chelsea
Ross.
Chelsea
I'm gonna
Ross?
say Chelsea Ross.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Chelsea Ross.
He's a great character actor. You've seen him in a lot of things, and he's looked 50 for 30 years. Like he's old in this movie. He's like an old pitcher in this movie.
Yeah, he plays the starting pitcher, but he's a God-fearing man, and so that kind of counters each other. Yeah.
He learns eventually, though. There's a running gag where it's like where Dennis Haysbert warns him. It's like you don't drink his rum. You don't drink
Jobu's rum.
Jobu's, yeah.
So
Jobu's rum.
He has this little troll doll with a cigar in its mouth, and he calls it Jobu. And he kind of prays to Jobu for good juju.
Gives offerings and stuff, yeah.
Offering of rum. The final game, he wants to sacrifice a whole chicken. He gets mad. Eddie Harris. That's his name. Eddie Harris gets really mad, so he drinks the rum, and he walks out, and he gets knocked in the head with a flying bat. So we've learned you don't mess with Jobu.
And then you see him later. He's practicing in the bullpen, and he's got the Jobu statue right at his feet, and he's like cooing with it. He's like, it's like, don't hurt me.
Jobu. Yeah. Hit the ball, Jobu. Anyway, so yeah, Jobu's pretty funny.
We haven't talked about probably one of the biggest stars in this movie,
Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen as Ricky. Wild Thing Vaughn. He is a relief pitcher. So Charlie Sheen to me is the most interesting behind-the-scenes story in this film. So Charlie Sheen himself, huge baseball fan, and is actually a very competent pitcher. Charlie Sheen himself can actually throw about an 89-mile-an-hour fastball.
Shit.
He really can. To work for this film, Charlie Sheen took steroids to get stronger, which for Charlie Sheen is about par for the course.
As we know now.
But yeah, Charlie Sheen, he's a convict. He manages to get out of jail, joins the team. Again, he could throw really fast, but he's inaccurate. He's hugely inaccurate. What they find is that he's nearsighted. So they give him glasses, and he starts to do better. A lot better.
There's a gag in this movie that actually goes into the next movie too, and I noticed it watching The Replacements, and it's just like, wow, we gave so much leeway to how prisoners looked in the 80s and 90s. Nobody wore sleeves. Fuck sleeves.
Yeah.
Like if they were all torn off. That's it. If you were in prison, you wore a jumpsuit with torn off sleeves. Never did you have full sleeves.
Charlie Sheen comes out to spring training in the beginning of the film, and he's tore off the sleeves to his jersey and isn't wearing a cap. And coach is like, "We wear sleeves and a cap out here, son. Remember that next time." Okay. And he throws 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It's just like he's amazing. He's awesome. But that's his flaw.
And his flaw is he develops an arch enemy over the course of the movie against
Roger Dorn.
I guess this well, not Dorn. I'm talking his Yankee enemy.
Oh, the Yankee.
Right, his career enemy more, right?
So when the teams actually start playing baseball, of course they suck. The first team they play is the Yankees, and he just flops against the Yankees. And throughout the film, we see that they can't beat the Yankees. It keeps happening that they keep losing to the Yankees. Another star to this, not a player, but a funny one of the guys with the guy with the best lines is Bob Euchre as
Oh.
Harry Doyle, the announcer for the Indians.
I was gonna call it out because it's like, yeah, Bob Euchre is so great in this movie. He's so hilarious.
He's the guy that has he's a baseball announcer's voice. He really does.
Mm-hmm.
He's got this.
That's what I think of when I think of an announcer.
And the thing with Bob Euchre is that he was a player. It was a sportscaster. He's retired now, but he was also a comedian and an actor. So the guy had the chops.
Well, apparently he got the role for his Miller Lite commercials, not his sportscasting career.
Oh.
Like that's why they hired him, because of his commercials, because he was funny in those. Well, it's like throughout the film, he's like, you can see him drinking, and he's. I love how he never lets his color commentator talk. And then at one point he goes like, the guy goes, "Yep," and he goes, "That's why you're the best color commentator in the game."
Oh yeah, they all play really well off of each other. They're really well as a team. So yeah, the main thing is that they keep playing and they're sucking, and they're barely 50-50 midway through the season. But the thing is, they are supposed to be dead last. So the owner keeps taking away things. They take away their hot tub and give them broken hot tubs. He takes away their plane, their jet, and gives them like this prop.
The old ass plane from like the 30s. Yeah. It's got tape. There's a scene where they're just talking, and then the pilot's just taping a propeller. Just like, it's all good.
and then the bus is taken out, and it's one of those old ass 1950s buses with the bubble top.
It's cool looking though. I like it. It just needs to get restored.
Yeah, the Cleveland Express. And so they've got to go through this. A coach finds out the truth that what the owner is trying to do. She's trying to move the team, and so they say, here's the deal. Let's screw the pooch on this one for her. Let's win. We need to win out. If we win out our next, I think he said like 30 games.
Something like that, yeah.
If they won out basically the rest of the stretch, which, by the way, winning 30 straight games in Major League Baseball is the A's haven't done. The A's did it I think it was like 22 games.
I think it was
games.
I think it was 31 out of 65. This is not an
easy task to do.
I think it was like 31 out of 65. I think that they had 65 games left, and they said if they won 31, they could make it to the playoffs. I think that's how it was.
The point is they still got to win a lot. That's the whole point.
Half of their games, which is a lot.
They keep playing, and one of the best visual gags is they have a cardboard cutout of her. Of the owner, and she's all covered up in kind of this leopard thing, and he says, coach says, every time we win, we'll take off a piece, and underneath she's in a bikini, and they're kind of womanizing her a little bit, but she's our bad guy, so what do we care? We don't like her.
Willie Mays Hayes has got a reverse of that too. He said at the beginning of the season he bought
100 pairs of gloves.
100 pairs of gloves, and throughout the movie you see him nailing gloves to the wall as he gets his steals.
Every time he steals a base, he nails the gloves, and that's the thing. He's a base stealer. Yeah. Every time he does, he nails them to the wall.
Oh man, I gotta say this now because I need a Willie Mays. I tweeted this out. I need a Willie Mays Hayes in my MLB The Show game because none of my fucking players can run to first base before an infield throw. Like anytime it goes to shortstop or second base, they're all fucking out. But Willie Mays Hayes can run to first base with that. I need one of him. And ran.
Are you playing as Toronto? Is that why? Are you playing as Toronto?
Yeah. I always play as Toronto. I can never not.
Switch it, man.
It's either Toronto or New York, so it's like.
I hate the Yankees. And like in this, I hate the Yankees. I've always hated the Yankees. Yeah. It's worth noting because it's a really good score actually. That you don't. It's done by James Newton Howard.
Oh really? Wow.
And it's this score is very much a very inspirational thing. The thing is, this film is a comedy and it is funny, but it's not always like here's the joke. It's more like the situation is funny, and it really is kind of a feel good comedy.
Yeah. It's a real sports movie. It's a real sports movie that happens to be funny. Like it's based on a comedic premise, but like I think it's like The Replacements. The Replacements is a little more like studio comedy because we're in the 2000s at that point, but like I think they have the same kind of vibe to them.
Oh yeah, but So I'll cut to the chase. They win it out, and they tied the Yankees for first place, and they have to have a one-game playoff to decide who's the league champion at that point to go into the playoffs, and that's a big deal. Now, to put that in perspective, again, historically, that doesn't happen. It isn't. So it's really rare and really amazing.
I've never heard of it.
So they get in 7 innings in. Our starting pitcher has been pitching for 7 innings, which is quite a bit. And he throws a couple home run, throws and gets hit on for a couple of home runs. So it puts the Yankees up.
2 runs, yeah.
2 runs, yeah. Puts the Yankees up. And then Vaughn comes in. Now, there's a little subplot with Vaughn that kind of freaks him out. So what happens is after they celebrate their last victory before the playoff, or before the one-game playoff, the news is, recording them, celebrating and having a good time and everything. And Roger Dorn's wife sees him take a girl through a back door and out. Oh, and she's pissed. So she dresses up really nice, and she goes and finds Ricky Vaughn, who doesn't know who she is, and seduces him and sleeps with him. And the next morning, she tells him who she is. And he realizes it's an oh shit moment. And then she goes home
and tells her
and
husband.
She tells Roger Dorn who she slept with. So now Vaughn knows that Dorn knows, and he's freaking out the whole time before the game and during the game. And so he's avoiding Dorn the whole time. And he tells I love it. He tells Jake Taylor this, and Jake's like, "Oh shit! All right, I'll see what I could do." He ain't got shit to do, because what happens is 7th inning, he gets, by the time, we get into the 9th, I think. By the time he manages to get him out, but he gets on the mound, and Roger Dorn is at 3rd. So every time he looks over to 3rd, he's freaking out because Dorn is staring at him. And then when he finally is asked to throw the guy, throw him out, let's get out of this inning, Roger Dorn comes walking over, which normally they could be having a powwow or a communication because there's a guy at 3rd. We don't want him to score. So he comes in, and Charlie Sheen's freaking out. Dorn takes the ball from him, and he's like, "You know what you're gonna do? What? Strike this, mother." Yeah. So he's like, okay. And he does just that. He strikes the guy out. And it's the same guy that he has been hit off of multiple times. Yeah. He strikes him out
Big
finally
burly guy
with 3 fastballs. Yeah, 3 fastballs in a row. He strikes him out. So he kind of gets that monkey off his back,
and then he gets sucker punched by Dorn.
Yeah, when they win, Dorn, and they're like, yeah, and Dorn clocks him one,
and then helps him right back up. It's like, okay, we're good.
All right, we're good. Yeah. But anyway, so it comes down to the 9th inning. Okay. Indians are on. What happens is Willie Mays manages to bunt again. He does his thing, and he makes it to first. Now this is important because they're down.
It was a ground pop
at this point. Oh no! So let's start with Serrano first. Hold on, Serrano first. They're down by 1 run. Okay. Remember, Serrano can't hit the curve. And he gets 2 curves against him, so he's down 2 strikes. And he looks to the bat, and he goes, "Fuck you, Jovo."
I say, "Fuck you, Jovo. I do it myself." Yeah.
And he manages to connect with the ball, hits a home run, ties the game. Okay. Then Willie Mays comes up. He manages to bunt, gets to first.
Yeah, pops it in. It was a pop grounder, not a bunt. The bunt comes from Jake.
Wasn't it a bunt?
Nope. Willie Mays Hayes don't bunt. No.
I thought it was a bunt.
I didn't think so.
All right. But so Jake Taylor comes in. Jake Taylor comes in, and he has an idea, and he kind of motions over to the coach, and the coach is like, "Yeah, that just might work." So he takes his bat, he gets ready, and he does the Babe Ruth, and he calls a shot to piss off the pitcher. It pisses off the pitcher. So pitcher throws, gets a ball, which is really hard on Jake's knees because he's got to get down on his knees real fast, and it kind of hurts a little bit. And you think, oh, he's not going to do that again. He gets up, does it, dust himself off, and he points again. So what this is doing is getting the pitcher to throw him exactly what he wants. That's what he wants. So he manages to throw it, instead of hitting out, hitting hard, he bunts it. Now during this process, Willie Mays has already stolen second.
Yeah.
He did steal second during that
He's
process.
on to third now. He's on to third now.
Well, he's on to second because then he does a double steal. Because at that point, when he bunts it, he does the double steal.
Does he double steal?
He double steals. He goes from second to home.
Okay.
And that's the other thing, is he bunts it, and Jake Taylor starts just running. Now again, bad knees. He is not a runner, so he's laying it out and just barely gets safe.
Well, then they weren't expecting, because they weren't expecting it. They were expecting it. They were expecting to go into the outfield, so that they were pulled back a little bit, and they were expecting to run outward, not run inward. You can even see it on one of the Yankees' face. They're like, "Oh shit, it's a bunt." They got to run inside. So
And then Willie Mays manages to make it around safe to home, wins the game. Indians win the pennant. Jake Taylor, Rene Russo's in the stands. She's there. She's not that important. She decides to be with him, but in the end, she's not that important.
Yeah.
It's a real feel-good, funny thing. These guys together as characters, Charlie Sheen and his wild thing,
I love the whole bit. Like,
Sheen.
there's shirts everywhere in Cincinnati.
Yeah. People love him.
Cleveland.
And that's another thing too, is this film. Yeah, it's Cleveland. Reds fans would be mad at you on that one.
I don't know American geography. Leave me alone.
It's okay. I don't know Canadian geography.
Fair.
But yeah, this film does a really good job of showing Cleveland as a character in itself.
Yeah,
they really do. They show the people talking about the Indians, and all of them are like, Cleveland's gonna suck. The guys, I absolutely love. I don't know where they're from, but the Asian guys.
Yeah.
There are these two guys working in the stadium every time this bit happens, where they're talking about the Indians and they're talking each other in their language, and then there's subtitles. And it's always, I think they're shitty. Boy, they're shitty. They're still shitty. And even in the end, they're like, maybe they're not so shitty. I love these guys. It's great. Yeah. But this is what Cleveland is like. Cleveland loves the Indians, but they're tired of losing. And here's the thing with Cleveland. Cleveland's only real championships have come from LeBron James. So every other sport is dying for whether it's the Browns or the Indians. They want a victory. Well, yeah, the Browns left, and then they got Browns again.
LeBron up and left.
But anyway. Oh, God, yeah. And then came back, gave him a championship, and then left again.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. But the point is that the people of Cleveland really make a character of this film. And it really shows the love in the end that Cleveland has. Because, like, unlike other sports films where it's like really bad teams don't have attendance, you actually see a lot of people in the stands. You do.
Amount, yeah.
Yeah.
The last game is full. The last game is full. Yeah. Like, and you know the owner's pissed about that.
Yeah, and if they win, it's it. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. So yeah, it really does a good job of displaying that as a character, and that's something that we'll get into with Replacements. Replacements doesn't do. Replacements doesn't focus on the town or This really is love for someone who is a Cleveland Indians fan.
Yeah,
absolutely is. In fact, back on Charlie Sheen, when the Indians were in the World Series, he reprised his character as Rick Vaughn and through the opening pitch in one of the World Series games.
Oh wow!
In Cleveland. Yeah, they walked him out. Opening pitch is Rick Vaughn, and he's out there, and he's wearing the jersey and you're wild thing. Like, but that's the kind of legacy that this film leads. There was an alternative ending to this film too that no one liked.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Yes. So I've seen the alternate ending in the DVD, but I don't like it. Alternate ending, basically, where the manager comes in to the owner and is like, I know what you did and you were wrong. And she was like, no, I was motivating the team. I had to take everything away from them so we would win, which was all part of my plan. And then the film ends, and a lot of fans, a lot of people who saw that didn't like that ending. They hated it because they want to keep hating her. You hate this woman, trust me.
Well, and it's like
She
it's not
is-
really believable either. That's the thing. It's not really like a believable plan. Like she spent the whole movie scowling at them. Like she could have secretly not been scowling at them, right? Like she was in a booth.
Yeah.
Like she
She's-
could have told the secret to somebody and had that secret if that was
She's
real.
one of my favorite 80s actresses. She's in one of my favorite films of all time, The Secret of My Success, with Michael J. Fox.
Okay.
And she kind of plays this kind of character, although she's a lot nicer and better in Secret of My Success. But she plays this. You kind of don't want to like her. You
Yeah.
really don't. She really holds on to that in this film. This is a fun film, and this is definitely a baseball lover's dream. This film, it really shows a lot of the kind of the inside and outs, and like I said, it's not all about the jokes. This is much more about the heart of the team. This is about them coming together, which is why that ending, there are no antics, there's no, it's all, the final game is about the game. And I love that.
And
It's kind of like Rocky in a way too, where Rocky is serious. This is a comedy, but it kind of plays that final game that way.
Yeah, and I love movies, sports movies that play the games, like that have really exciting, really well played games within them. Like there are some sports movies that, like, obviously, like it's like they've never watched the actual sport. And it's like this was like watching a really good baseball game, and that's always really good. And I'll say the same about The Replacements in a minute here too. Like those are really good football games and really good football plays that they were able to do in that movie, and I thought it held up really well.
Yeah. So let's talk about The Replacements. Let's go ahead and get to The Replacements. The Replacements, it was a 2000 film directed by Howard Deutsch. It's a football film.
We need to talk about who this is shot by, though, because holy shit, who is this shot by? This is shot by give me a second. Pull up this.
Tak Fujimoto.
He was second unit on Star Wars, for one. He's done a ton. He did Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He did Pretty in Pink, Silence of the Lambs. Anybody? Philadelphia, The Sixth Sense. It's like, man, this guy's filmography is insane. And it's a great looking. I think this movie looks great. Like for the 2000s, like the colors that he was still shot on film. You can tell it was shot on film, and the colors and the deep richness of it. I thought it was actually like insane looking back at who shot it. I was like, I had to look it up.
So this film, while Cleveland Indians and the Major League is kind of based on reality with a fictional what if, the Indians actually won. The Replacements is about a professional football league, but it is not the NFL. It's in real teams. I suspect they just couldn't get the rights.
Well,
because that's pretty expensive.
From my knowledge, like there hasn't been a lot of football movies with actual NFL in them. The NFL is pretty tight with their stuff. They don't really like to do stuff.
They did it with Ace Ventura. Still can't figure that one out.
Yeah, that's right. Miami Dolphins. Yeah.
They did it with Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
I can't figure everything else out for this one, but yeah. Okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah, but they're pretty tight otherwise. Like I don't recall a lot of movies have fake professional football leagues compared to the MLB seems to be pretty open with letting people. It's like, oh yeah, sure. We'll take your film money. Do an MLB movie. NFL's like, nah, get out of here. So yeah, we have the best choice for what the Washington Redskins should change their name to. We have the Washington Sentinels.
Now it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned Washington. This is an interesting story. So though this is a fictional comedy, it was loosely based on a true story that happened.
And the man who was part of it is in the movie too.
Yeah. So the
1970s.
No,
was it not?
I think it was the 80s. The 80s strike. It was when the Washington Redskins actually won the Super Bowl. Hold on.
See, it was 87. 87 NFL strike.
87. So that year was an NFL strike. Okay, so the players wanted more money. Managers or the owners didn't want to give it. So what the owners did is they went out and got replacement players to play the rest of the season. Washington won the whole shebang that year. They won the whole thing as replacement players, which is kind of what this is based off of. In fact, the controversy between Keanu Reeves' character and the other quarterback.
Yeah, Brett Cullen. Brett Cullen.
Yeah.
He's a great actor. He played Thomas Wayne.
Eddie Martell. Yeah, Eddie Martell. Yeah, is based on the real life controversy between the replacement quarterback who won the Super Bowl and their normal quarterback once the strike ended. There was a controversy who would stay. So all of these things are kind of brought into this comedy. But like I said, while Major League is about a kind of more of a realistic premise that is humorous.
Yeah.
This is about the characters and the jokes. The jokes are there.
Yeah.
Purely you can see it.
Well, it's this kind of like, it's almost like a sports heist movie. Like I'll liken it to that, because like they have this great, like, the character introductions that we get to, like excuse me, we get Gene Hackman. We get Gene Hackman to start this. Is fucking Gene Hackman's great in everything. Right?
Jimmy
McGinty, and he introduces us with his coaches to like folders full of these characters, including a very young, very mean, very angry Jon Favreau.
For years, I did not know that was Jon Favreau. I really didn't.
Yeah, it's hard. He's like Rudy. He's like Rudy age. This is like a couple years after that, right? It's like 5 years after that.
Yeah, about 5 years after that.
Is right? Yeah.
Jon Favreau. He's a linebacker.
He's a SWAT member. He's a cop now. Yeah,
he's the SWAT cop.
He's a SWAT cop who beats up people. It's like, oh shit, this movie, god damn it.
He is very aggressive. This guy, I love it. He's knocking people down left and right.
He's got lots of funny moments in this movie. We'll get to him eventually.
So, like our lead, well, I say lead, like Jake Taylor, Keanu Reeves is our quarterback. He's the heart of the team. This film focuses more on Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
It's much more about him.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is a former All-American quarterback for Ohio State, who they talk about a choking game in the Super Bowl when he was, or Sugar Bowl when he was in college. Apparently, by the way, everyone in America was watching that game in 1996. Because everyone in this film is like, I lost money on you in that Sugar Bowl disaster. Like, were you all really watching that game?
I figure it's the equivalent to the Rose Bowl, right? Like, that's kind of what it's the equivalent to.
The Sugar Bowl is one of the biggest.
Oh, is it actually a real bowl?
Yeah.
Oh.
It is a real bowl. It is one of the
I thought they had made up another name.
No. The Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl. These are actual huge bowl games. So, and he's from Ohio State, Ohio State, which is one of the largest and biggest football programs in the nation.
I'm surprised they didn't make him from Utah, though. Make it just like slightly slide to Johnny Utah. Like, why not?
But yeah, the thing is that he's retired. He's living on a houseboat, scraping barnacles off boats for a living. That's all he's
throwing
doing.
his old trophy down in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Orlando Jones too. Orlando Jones.
I love Orlando Jones.
He's hilarious. I love him.
He's Clifford Blinking. Yeah.
Love him in this movie. And Rice Evans. Like, I don't know how you say it. I don't know if that's the way you say it, but I'm gonna say it like that. Hilarious.
The Welsh. He's bloody Welsh.
I love every time like McGinty tells his coach to say it like. Yeah.
It's Whitey. Yeah, he's Rhys Ifans. I know I'm saying it wrong too. He's Nigel Gruff. He's a Welsh football player who's also a kicker.
He's a football player who's a football player.
He's a football player who's a football player. So soccer. Yeah, he plays soccer, but yeah. Also, he's a pub owner, but he likes to bet on the ponies.
Oh, he owns the pub? Oh, okay. I missed that. Okay. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah. It does go a little quick with him, unfortunately, and I missed it. I've watched this many times.
Yeah.
Until this last time watching it, I didn't quite pick up on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he owns the pub, but he owns these loan sharks' money. And he's doing well, but then the money he gets, he pisses away. And so the guys, and it's not explained well in the film.
Yes.
The final game of the season, he's asked to miss the kicks, so that way the Sentinels lose, and they'll get their money back. He won't lose his pubs. And that'll play into the final game. We'll get into it, what happens with that. But yeah, he's in a bit of gambling trouble. Other characters we've gotta point out.
We gotta mention Brian Murphy. I wanna shout him out before everything. Like the deaf football player. Like I was just awesome. Like the Keanu standing up for him, the team standing up for him. Like it's just like it's so sweet. And it's just like, football players care. And it's just like the way that they accept him and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, it's just awesome.
Yep, he's our tight end. Yeah. Our running back is played by Troy Winbush. He's an ordained minister.
He's hilarious.
That's his thing. Yeah, it's all about God with him, and they don't play a lot of jokes to it, but he's kind of the most serious of everybody.
There's a good one in the bar fight they have later where it's like what would Jesus do or something like that, right? And then it's like a scene, like a shot later, he's quoting from the Bible and he's like smacking somebody. He's quoting Ezekiel and smacking somebody.
we have twin guards, the Jackson brothers, played by Fabian Love and Michael Talaferro, who are bodyguards for ODB, but get the call to go play football, so they go play football. But the thing is that I think it's Michael. Michael's character always carries a gun with him, and his brother's always trying to get him to put away. Like, no, put it back, put it down.
He shoots up the QB's car. Yeah, the old QB's car.
Yeah. There's one point where they go in. He shot up Martel's car because they were harassing. Yeah, they were. It was beautiful.
So yeah, so they're scabs. So when Johnny Utah shows up to the football practice the first time,
what we're gonna refer to him as is Johnny Utah.
It's gonna be hard not to. Shane Falco. I'm looking at it now. Shane Falco. When Shane shows up to the football practice for the first time, they flip his car and they tag it with scab. And then the second time they do it, they've all bonded as a team and. Michael here pulls out his handgun and just starts shooting at Eddie Martel's windshield. And it's
crazy. Oh, crazy! You call me crazy? Crazy? I'm crazy. Pop, 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 pop. It's so funny.
Oh, there's another one we have to mention. Ace Yonamine as Jumbo Fumiko. He's so much fun in this movie. I really loved him in this movie. And there's a little I love the call out of the whole all Asians are the same, and he's like, no, it's like I'm Japanese. Yeah.
He's like Chinese, Japanese. What's the difference? He's like, they're two different countries, right?
Yeah. He's good, and I like the call out of that, and I really like he's great in it. He one of my favorite scenes is that he's like, okay, if I have to if you have a problem, when do I tell you? Before the huddle. Okay. And then they get in the next huddle, and he's like, I kind of have a problem. And they're like, just relax. It's just like, and then he throws up a bunch of eggs that he'd been eating all morning, and then they shuffle the huddle over, and everybody's like, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. And it was just,
And the team's main people to round out with is Michael Jace as Earl Wilkinson, aka Ray Smith. He's the cornerback. He's
the sleeveless one.
Inmate. He's a prison inmate in Maryland and got to stay from the governor of Maryland to play football for 4 or 5 weeks.
I love the conversation. It's like, where did you play? Maryland State for 2.5 years.
Yeah, and there's a bit between him and Orlando Jones, where Orlando Jones he's like, he's from prison. He robbed. I can't remember the crime. But it was like he robbed that place, and he gets mad. He's like, allegedly robbed. You know what? The way I heard it, my brother didn't even do that. And they're looking at him, and he's like, they start fighting, and he stands up. You know what? I'm gonna sit with the deaf guy. Yeah, and these guys keep going after each other. It's kind of funny. So basically, and then there's a love interest. Of course, there's a love
cheerleaders.
Interest.
I like the subplot of her using the strippers that show up, and then getting them more strippers so that they can distract the team later on. It's for one joke. It's for one joke.
Brooke Langston. Her name is Brooke Langston. She plays Annabelle, who is the head cheerleader. Why cheerleaders are having tryouts basically 3/4 of the way through the season makes no sense to me.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, wait a sec. So they struck too. The cheerleaders struck too, and you're the only picketer for the cheerleader. You're the only line crosser for the cheerleaders.
Fine.
Don't think about it too hard.
She has auditions for cheerleaders, and the rest of them kind of suck. They all suck for different reasons. Remember the slash them.
That's one of my favorites. I was like, oh no,
their blood
I love this
all
girl.
Over town. She's psycho, and I if she's not on the squad, I don't know who is. You do not tell that woman no. But these two girls who are exotic dancers come in. And she asked them, she's like, "Oh, you're dancers? Oh, that's great. Oh, you were in Cats?
You're in Cats.
I can't tell you how great this is." No, not Cats. Pussycats. You know, the club out by the airport? Pussycat. Great. And they said, if you have any other friends, bring them in. Which, I think it's the second game of the season,
they use them to distract the other team.
They use stripper techniques to distract the team, and you hear the other coach on the sideline going, "She's spanking around. Stop them from doing this!" He's trying to do it, and it's just not working. It's hilarious. I love it.
There is a great scene, although like we're jumping all over a little bit, but there's a great scene where they actually do start to bond, and that's right after it's right during and after the bar fight, and into the prison, after their first loss. But when
they go to jail for a bar brawl, all the major guys we've talked about are all in jail together, and they fought together. They kind of fought to defend each other because Martel and his men came in to kind of to ram him up. And a funny bit. Okay, so so our lovely linebacker, played by John Favreau, he has a bad habit of tackling anything on the field.
He's a bull. He's a bull. Like
he's a bull.
he sees red.
In football practice, you're not usually the quarterback will wear a red shirt. You don't tackle them to protect them during practice. So he's not supposed to, but he keeps tackling him, and he says, "Remember, red means stop." Oh, I see what you're doing there.
Like a traffic light.
Yeah. And so they get in the bar, and they're hanging out, and Martel's in a red shirt, and they're picking on the tight end, who's deaf. And Keanu comes to his defense, and they go one step too far, and he yells over to him. He's like, "Danny, you remember what I said about red shirts in practice? Forget it." And he goes and he tackles him right there, and it starts the ballroom fight. Everyone is fighting except for Orlando Jones, who hides behind the jukebox. He hides behind the jukebox.
There's another couple great shots with Danny too, because like Danny, in one scene Keanu throws a really good pass or something like that, and Danny just goes and tackles, like, to congratulate him. He tackles him. Like, he wants to tackle him to congratulate him. And it's
the kicker, poor Nigel. Every time Nigel makes a
Nigel.
kick.
Sorry, Nigel.
He runs on and tries to tackle him. So in the second game, when he kicks and he wins the game, he starts just chasing him around, and I was like, "No! Down, boy, down!" It's so funny.
It's like, don't do anything great unless you can handle the congratulations. I love that.
We gotta note it because they're big in football, and they play the commentary in here.
Oh yes.
John Madden, Pat Summerall, who
great.
Those of you who don't know, John Madden is a legend in football. Won a Super Bowl with the Oakland Raiders. Is the namesake of the video game still to this day.
They did
Madden's
a holy roller play like he did
that holy roller play, and I remember, I don't remember the game, but I remember that play. I've seen it many times. They even mocked that. But Pat Summerall also was his partner for many years in the broadcast booth. And they commentate throughout this film and during the game. So it's a very nice touch.
Yeah.
I really
they're not as bombastic as Bob Uecker was in Major League, but they do have great, like, they're smoother. right? Like baseball seems more bombastic, and football, it seems, is more kind of like a smooth delivery kind of game in general, like with the commentary, at least with what John Madden and Pat had set up, right? And it's just these kind of like jabs, right? It's like a boxing jab. They're just getting you. They're just
The
punching
thing
at you.
you gotta understand with broadcasters from that versus the type that are presented in this movie, Bob Uecker in there is with the team all year round.
Well, he's there.
Travels with
He's
the team.
their
He's
announcer. Yeah.
miserable. He is miserable. Okay, and so there's kind of this gruffness, this grittiness that comes with that I'm tired of this, but it's my job. I do what I do. This is what's going on. While Madden and Summerall are like basically like Fox or NBC, or they're the big names doing this, and they're traveling around. So they're kind of, I think, in a way, not jaded like Euchre kind of shows.
Yeah.
So there's a much more of a professionalism that sits in there.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a difference, but they do get some things in there. Some John Madden has some of the weirdest things you'll ever say in history, and he's the king of obvious. John Madden is John Madden, but they're the commentary that we get during these games, and it's kind of important. One point, Reese Evans, Nigel, he's a smoker. He's smoking on the field, getting ready to kick, and Madden's like, I thought I saw him smoking on the field.
Like, no, you didn't.
No, I saw him with the cigarette and everything. Well, back to the game.
He's got the cigarettes. He goes out onto the field later on in the movie with the cigarette, smokes it before he throws it away. But there's a great scene after they have a great dance. They have a great dance and sing along to Gloria Gaynor's "I Will Survive," and it's awesome team bonding. But I think the best team bonding, and like I really love, like talk about a sports speech. This fear scene, like this talking about fear in the locker room thing, like it's a great scene. Like it's like they play it off like, oh, we're afraid of spiders and stuff like that. We're all scared of creepy crawlies and it's like and then the quicksand, right? And it's like everybody's like, yeah, quicksand, like that's good. Like, yeah, I'd be scared to like get stuck in quicksand. And then just no, it's like getting caught in your own mistakes, being worried that everything you do, no matter how hard you try, it's still gonna make you fail. And it just seems just no matter what you do, you're always sinking. And it's just everybody just stops and it's like, okay, well, yeah, I can go back to prison. Like that's what's in it for me, like shit like that. And it's just they're real fears, and this starts the real bonding that they're able to do.
Yeah. So these replacement players have to win 3 out of 4 of their games to make the playoffs. That's their premise. So the first game, they don't gel as a team. They don't. And as a result, they lose. It's close. They almost win. But what happens is Shane Falco is still got the monkey on his back from this Ohio State. He doubts himself highly. And he's not a great leader, although he kind of starts to fix that right away. He's still not confident in himself, and it causes the loss.
He calls an audible and he fucks it up. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was close. So that's his thing, and we focus on him trying to alleviate that in whatever way he can, and he just isn't getting it. He meets the cheerleader, Annabelle. Annabelle has one of the funniest things, too. She's a football expert. She really is.
Yep.
Loves talking football. Her dad was a football fan. And one point, she's driving him home in the Jeep.
This is a great
and she's talking football, and she's just weaving in and out of traffic and doing like U's and just some really scary stuff.
I've been in the car with some of those type of people.
All she's doing is talking about football the whole time. And you just see Keanu like, the whole way. It's hilarious.
She's a great driver, though. I'll give her that. Like she could do all that pretty without a anxiety or heartbeat. Yeah, Jesus.
But they start the team starts to bring it together. He starts to get closer to the cheerleader. They eventually do get together, which, fine. But like many things, the love story is not important here. It's kind of brought in I think to appease.
It needs to be there. Like it's like somebody saw the movie and went, "Why doesn't this sports movie have a love story in it somewhere? What about that cheerleader? Make her a love interest." Like it's just like it's an unnecessary part of movies that I think is like it's just shoved into a lot of, and it's easy to look at in hindsight, right?
So they get to the final game of the season. They have won 2 of the last 3, so they have to win the final game for the team to make the playoffs. But we find out two things. We find out 2 things in the week. Number 1, Martell, the dick quarterback, who's like our Roger Dorn, he's the dick.
Yeah.
He crosses the picket line and is going to rejoin the team early. So the owner wants to go with Martell and is ordering McGinty, who, mind you, one of McGinty's provisions is total control of the team. But the owner says, no, you don't have a choice.
Yep.
This is what's going to happen. And so he brings him in, and Shane obviously is off the team. They have to do the switch. They have to do what they got to do. So he's the quarterback now, and he doesn't gel with the team because it's all about him. He's a 4-time All-American. He's won 2 Super Bowl rings. I hate this man.
He's so good at playing a dick. He's a great dick with Dick Thomas Wayne too.
We find out that the strike is going to end after the game.
Yeah.
The strike will officially end, which means all of these replacement players will lose their jobs. So now they're basically, this is the last of their career for so many of them, most of them. This is it. And they have a terrible first half thanks to the quarterback. They're not gelling. It's not working.
Honestly, he's so out of practice. He fucking whiffed one over the top. That wasn't them not gelling. That was that guy being a shitty quarterback. Like, holy crap.
He doesn't want to communicate with his teammates. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And then one of the things he said to Shane Falco is that he's the heart of the team. He's the heart. And Falco, while watching as they go into halftime, Falco doesn't live too far from the stadium, luckily.
Yeah.
Which is very convenient.
Lives on a boat.
Very convenient. But he's talking to. They said, "Coach, what do you need in order to win in the second half?" Heart.
And she's like, I love this reporter. This reporter is the most hilarious person. She goes like, "What is that? What is heart?" like her mind has just been exploded by this what is this idea of having a heart or having heart as like not a noun, just in general. Just the way she reacted to it, it's so unintentionally funny, but I picked up on it. She's so sincere in asking him like, what do you mean by by you need heart? Like you can't infer that at all.
So he comes back into the locker room, and as a team, they physically remove Martell, which is, I love it. And he suits up and goes out, and they work to bring everybody together again, and they re-gel as a team. They really do. And it comes down to basically one final play. It always does. It comes down to the play, and he says, "I want the ball."
Well, first we have the culmination of the Rice Efens storyline, right? It comes down to a field goal. What it comes down to is it could come down to this field goal, and he pulls Shane Falco, and he goes, "I'm sorry, but I have to tell you this now. It's like I fucked up. Like I owe these guys money, and I need to throw this game." And so
Shane, in a split second, decides to yank it and basically audible into a fake field goal. Which, by the way, I want to say, when you kick like that when your kicker is not ready, he will fall on his ass, and it is the most painful thing in the world.
Well, he goes up.
Charlie Brown that shit.
He broke his arm. We see later he broke his arm. He's getting pulled off the field with a broken arm, right? Like and he said it was worth it. He said it was perfectly worth it. He's like, thank you.
Yeah, Shane manages an audible. He runs. He gets it in the end zone. Touchdown. Game over. Nope. There was a flag on the play.
Did you see it? I saw the flag when they threw it. Yeah, like you can see it in a frame, and I was like, "Oh no, the flag!" It's like no matter what, like you knew that play was dead. Like as soon as you saw that flag at the beginning, I was like, "No."
So they do it again. They're like, "All right, I got to play."
Another 10 yards.
They're going to do a pass to the tight end. They're going to do a pass to the tight end. That's what they want. Gentlemen, it's been an honor on the field of battle with you. So they go in, final play.
Like Johnny Favreau's like, give it to the guy who's going to prison.
Which they don't. That's the funny thing about this. I think what happened is this is an editing thing, and I've pieced this together. I think they mixed up huddle scenes. I really, really do. Which is a detriment to the film. No, they don't give it to him because he passes it to the tight end. See, before when they were going to do a play, earlier they
He blows out his knee.
The tight end.
Yeah.
The tight end goes, give it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll hook up, but they don't do that. I think in editing they accidentally switched, maybe for whatever reason they switch it because it's not in continuity with each other in terms of the plays. Now, hold on. This is something you'll start to notice in sports films.
Yeah.
With editing, even the best ones, like Miracle. Miracle is an amazing one. Mighty Ducks 2. They're great sports films. They really are. There are editing continuity errors that you'll see for the sake of dramatic momentum.
See, and man, those I'll tell you right now, those always work on me. Like I am not one of those people that is sensitive to those types of things. Like I know there are people out there that like can like pick up on those things. Like you picked up on this one where it goes to the deaf guy, right? Like it's supposed to go to the deaf guy. Like that's what or it ends up going to the deaf guy. Is what it ends up going to, right? And it's just I honestly would have never noticed. I probably still won't notice it if I watch it again. Like it's just I'm not really that unless it's really really badly edited. Like I'm really not sensitive to that kind of stuff. Like close. I don't like shaky cam close cut action scenes like Jason Bourne, but it doesn't ruin my immersion like it does some people, right? Like I can deal with it. But like I don't like it particularly. I prefer open action
as
stuff.
A sports fan, for me, especially football for me is number one. Always has been.
Okay.
There's also a little weird things in here, like how they play the game in terms of rules, and I'm like, yeah, come on, guys. Even I know. Yeah. Wonky stuff.
I know football a little better than baseball. Like baseball's got so many weird rules. Like it's like I don't even try to like acknowledge them all. I just kind of like play along with it. But yeah, football is like I did notice a couple of them. But
there are a couple of things. But you get over that in the end, and that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, but the point is, in the end, they get it to the tight end. He gets the ball, touchdown, game over. They win it, and then there's a pointless voiceover in the end by Gene Hackman talking about these guys, and it's like, why? You didn't need to. Shane Falco gets the girl, and they won the game, and that's the end of it. That's the point. We don't go any further, and they basically reiterates the fact that, they won today, but tomorrow they don't have a job. There ain't nothing left. Like,
if they ended it on the field, like kind of like Major League, right? If they just ended it like Major League, like I just have all of them celebrating on the field, I think that might have been a more solid ending. Other than that, but I think if since we're at the end now, we should talk about it. So The Replacements is our Rotten movie this week, and being my first time seeing this, how the fuck is this movie rotten? How like I looked up a couple of the reviews and all it said was cliche, and it's like I will say that I hate that as a critique. I'm gonna say that right now, and it's out there in the world. I hate cliche as a critique. It's like you can not personally like cliche, but cliche is like that's the point of it. There's a reason for it. Things work. Stories work because like stories are told and retold. There is no such thing as an original story. Everything is something that came before it. And it just like this, I think, is a great spin on it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I wasn't bored. Great acting, great actors in it. Like sure it uses cliche. I don't see how that is a bad thing. I don't see why cliche is a bad thing. That's just my own thing.
Yeah, I think some of it too is like the jokes they hit, but they're a little expected. I kind of get it. I do. Now I enjoy it. I enjoy football, so I especially enjoy the action in between it, and I like all of these actors. I do. All of these guys gel well together. I like Gene Hackman as Gene Hackman. There's something interesting about this with him, and we don't usually talk about it. Costume design. Coaches on the sidelines, you see it with all the other coaches. They always wear the gear of their team, whether it's a polo, whether
it's windbreakers or something. Yeah.
It's the hoodie with like Bill Belichick. They wear the team gear. Yeah. Jimmy is different. Jimmy is from a different era of football that doesn't exist anymore. He's got the very Tom Landry look. Yeah, with the hat, the suit. Like, there's another thing too, a little thing with him that is really interesting. When we meet him in the very beginning of the film, the owner, which this was his last film, played by
Jack Warden. Yeah.
Jack Warden. Yeah. If you don't know who Jack Warden is, he's kind of the guy that's always the old guy in films. He's like the CEO or the owner's father, or that's what he always is. I love Jack Warden actually in this as the owner. You don't get a lot of him, and he's not a bad guy. He's kind of doing his job. But this was, I believe, his final film, which is kind of sad. It's sad to hear, but yeah, this was his final film. But no, when he hires him, or when he has him in his office, he's like, "You got a cigarette?" "No, I gave up smoking." And then right before the final game, we see him smoking again.
Oh, I didn't know, and I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a little thing. It's a little thing. Now, what I took this as, when you talk about Jimmy McGinty and this coach, he's of a different breed. He keeps everything to his vest. Everything is methodical and thought out, which many coaches are methodical and thought out, but he doesn't let anything out. He becomes more like a wise sage. And so I think it was another habit that maybe he still had, that he kept to himself.
Yeah.
And for that quiet moment before the stress, we see a little bit of that out. But otherwise, in the public and everything, you wouldn't have that, because he has to stay calm. He has to stay cool and reserved. That's the way football coaches really were. Now, unlike who's it, Jim Harbaugh today? If you've ever seen Jim Harbaugh, he's the coach of the Michigan Wolverines.
Oh, okay.
He was the 49ers coach before that. And it was very often you would see him throwing a tantrum on the sidelines. He was just, but things didn't work. Now, I loved it as a 49ers fan.
Yeah.
I loved this guy. But he's a guy that held everything on his sleeve. You saw everything. Jimmy McGinty
Different
is not that way. And that costume of using that classic, classic Tom Landry look, or the Vince Lombardi look, that was a really nice touch for his character, and I love that.
I wanted to bring up one of the other assistant coaches, because I love him as a character actor, and to me, he is always to be known as Discount Bobby De Niro. It's Art LaFleur. He's, you know who I'm talking about. If you've seen this movie, you know who I'm talking about, because he is exactly like he's not discounted in a bad way. It's just like, man, like every time I see him, it's like, wait a second, am I sure Robert De Niro is in this movie? Like he's a great actor, and he shows up in a lot of movies, and he's funny as hell in this movie. There's great training sequences with him when the guys first show up to camp, and it's just like he's a fun addition to this. Along with the other...
You know what I love him in the most?
Oh, go ahead.
You know what I love him in the most? It's a guilty pleasure. Him as the Tooth Fairy in the Santa Claus 2.
Yeah, yes, he's great. That's what I thought. It's like every time I see, like, he shows up in a movie, it's like, wait, is Robert De Niro the Tooth? Nope. like he does that. I swear, he does it to make, like, Robert to like make people confuse Robert De Niro with those roles. Like it's a point of pride for him.
but I understand what they're saying about going back to the point of rottenness here. I understand, and yes, it is trite, but I think it hits. I do. I think you kind of know what you're getting. You're not going to be surprised here, and I think that's okay. The reality is that sometimes you want a filet mignon, and sometimes you want a Big Mac.
Yeah. Well,
there's nothing wrong with wanting a Big Mac sometimes.
The other issue is, like,
does it taste good? Yeah. Is it enjoyable? Yeah.
Major League follows kind of the same thing. Like, the only difference is Major League came out 20 years before, 15, 20 years before. Like, it's less cliche because it came out earlier. If Replacements came out, if in a fictional world it could have come out before Major League would look cliche to it, right? If it was Major League came out now and it was a sports movie to come out in the 2000s, right? Like to me, it's like people use cliche. Yeah, I'm gonna stick. I'm not gonna complain about cliche too much more. You guys already know it, okay. But yeah, I think that it is a good movie that does what it needs to do, and I don't think there's any reason to fault it for that. And I think it's a worthy movie to rewatch and have fun with. Like, this is my first time watching it. Like I said, it's definitely not gonna be my last time watching it. It's gonna be a fun movie to throw in. Like, it's not too heavy. Like, it's like some sports movies go a little heavy, right? Like, they're a little, like Major League in this, they're not ones that are gonna like pull you down too much with like with some heavy stuff in player injuries or stuff like that. It's a fun time at the movies, and you get to have a jolt with sports.
Yes. So while these films are fun, they're jovial, they remind us of sports that we don't really have a lot of going right now, where it's changed. It's definitely a different time. Next week, we're going to be looking at two films that were on your list for a change.
Where are we going?
So,
There we are.
why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're in for next week?
So just recently passed a anniversary for this movie, and I love this other movie. I saw it in theaters. We're gonna pair RoboCop, the classic Paul Verhoeven, Peter Weller treatsy on police brutality in Detroit, and we're gonna pair that with, I think, a very hidden gem from recent memory. It's called Repo Men. It is a Jude Law, Forrest Whitaker joint. It is it's kind of a sci-fi. It's in the same vein as in there are these artificial organs, and these guys work for a company who their job is, if you don't pay for the organs, they're gonna take them back from you however they want. They're gonna repo those organs, and it is in the vein of Verhoeven, where it's bloody, it's fun, it's just kind of over the top, and I think it came out in a time where people were a little either over it or just didn't understand what the marketing was for it, because like it always felt like it was an 80s gore movie to me, like an 80s action gore movie to me, and that's the tone that they had struck with it, and I think people just weren't hitting on it at the time, and I think it's ripe for a reawakening and a rewatch.
I've never seen Repo Man. I've heard of it. I kind of know the premise from what you're saying, but I've never watched it, so I'm looking forward to that. And RoboCop, man, I grew up in the 80s, so in the early 90s, RoboCop was everywhere. I had RoboCop on the Game Boy.
Well,
freeze, dirtbag.
Yeah,
yes.
that's kind of what killed RoboCop. We can talk about that when we talk about RoboCop. But yeah, I don't know how that movie got like so marketed to kids that the television show had it. Like it had a kids, basically a kids television show, RoboCop, at one point.
Did you ever see the live action one CBS did in the 90s?
That's the one I was. Yeah, sorry. It's like a kid, but it's got a kid in it. Like there's a kid there. Like it's not meant for.
There was I remember an 80s cartoon. Cartoon, and then there was a 90s CBS hour-long drama.
Yeah, if you want to check out Canceled Too Soon with William Bibiani and Whitney Seibold, they do talk about RoboCop, the canceled RoboCop TV series, which is really good. So Chris, thank you very much, and everybody, please join us next week for that. Like I keep saying, I'm only saying at the end because I don't like saying it. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. If you don't tell us what to do, we're just gonna keep doing what we want to do. Chris, any final words? Yeah, we love suggestions. Any final words to close it out today?
Enjoy yourselves. Please be safe, and as always, keep being awesome.